Mike Owens with Inside Fighting, joined today by Jose Delgado, who's coming off the biggest win of his career with a first round TKO over Conor Matthews in his UFC debut. Jose, great to sit down and chat for the first time. How are emotions after such a big win?
Man, so letting all the emotions still soak in. It's always so much to process, and I feel like I've always had kind of a slower process. It always takes me a little longer to be able to sit down and reflect on it, just be able to encapsulate all that that moment was. But man, it feels so sweet. It just genuinely feels so sweet.
There's a lot of pressure that goes into a UFC fight week, especially your first. Were you able to enjoy fight week and all of the poster signings, the media, all of that, if your first rodeo in the UFC?
Honestly, like it felt very normal to me, which was kind of like a bummer. Like as I was like signing the poster and as I was like putting on the UFC gloves, like these were things that like I had visualized and like I would watch on the embeddeds and it'd be like, damn, it's gonna be a sweet moment. It's gonna feel good, and it felt very just like it felt normal. It's so much to the point where I was like, damn, am I gonna just like not be present? Am I not present right now? Am I not? It's like I was almost nervous that I didn't feel the nerves, that I didn't feel like the heightened emotions that I thought making that UFC debut would make me feel. But as soon as I walked into as soon as it was fight day, like all that, like all those worries kind of went away. They dissipated. I was like, oh no, like I feel them now. I feel the emotions. I feel the high. I feel the reflection of the journey that it took to get me here. I feel it all, and it was amazing.
Did the fight play out as you expected, and was there anything about it that differed from the way you imagined it?
One of the things going into the fight was I really wanted to feel settled in right away. I wanted to feel as soon as like the fight got going, I was in my pocket, and I didn't. I felt like I was like maybe rushing just slightly, just a
Mm,
little rhythm. Like it's very nitpicky on my end, but like it felt very like I'm not finding my rhythm quite yet, not finding my. And I think I was trying to force my rhythm a little too
mm.
early. I should have gotten my reads. Um, Once he got the takedown and once I got up from the takedown, I felt settled. I felt like I just went woof. I was like, all
Mm.
right, it's just a matter of time now.
Talk us through the finish, as you remember it.
Yeah, man, I had been hitting certain combinations all throughout sparring camp. A lot of it was those body head, shooting that jab to the body and kind of going off of that. Earlier, like maybe a minute before the knockout, I went body and then I feinted body 3-2. I
Mm.
think the three really shifted his head over to like be lined up for my final two. So it made it that much more harder. Put him in a spot where I think he was expecting a three to come in, or just not really ready for anything. I think at that point he was already kind of. I'd given him a lot of information. I had fed him a lot of information, and then yeah, just as simple as it gets, man. Body head, simple.
What's that feeling like? I imagine you've envisaged that moment of your first UFC victory, but talk us through what the actual emotions were in that moment as you kind of recall what that feeling felt like.
Ah man, it's so such an out of body experience. Like it's so weird. Like one of the things I felt that I've been doing the last two, three, maybe four fights was like a surrender. And it's like it's almost as if it's not really me in there. Like I
Mm.
surrender. I've heard a lot of fighters actually talk about this in the past, but and a lot of people give like a different interpretation of what it is. Like to me, I'll say like it's a surrender to a higher power, the surrender to like a higher self. So it's almost hard to feel like what did I feel like because it's almost like I wasn't there to some
Mm.
degree, you know. Upon reflection, man, though, like it was it was man, I don't have the words yet. Like I still haven't processed that part of it. It feels it feels amazing to know that the most immediate thing was knowing that I represented my people, I represented my family, I represented my team, I represented my city. Like that's a huge responsibility that I bear and that I'm proud to bear. And that's the immediate feeling like, oh, I did it. Like I did it for us. Like I did it for me. I did it for like the kid who wasn't sure if I was ever gonna make it to this point, who like failed multiple times on the way to get to this point. And I did it. Like I overcame those fears. That was a cool feeling.
Best in the world starts now was what you were chanting as you walk around the cage after
Yeah.
the referee had stepped in. Why specifically with those the words that you feel like came to mind in that moment?
I have no idea. I have
I'm
no
glad you're
idea.
honest.
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I'll be like, all right, let me think about like the entire packaging of like how do I want to walk out? What do I want the walkout to be? What do I want the post fight to look like? I'll jot down like semi ideas so I'm not just there fucking drawing a blank in front of DC. But it's something I say, man. I stole from Rose, like her walking out to I think Joanna the first time, I'm the best, I'm the
Mm.
best, I'm the best. And then seeing Brandon Moreno say, soy mejor, soy mejor. So it's something I'll say like, I'm the best, I'm the best. Like, and I live it, I feel it. I allow myself to have that supreme confidence when I'm walking out there. I didn't think about saying it afterwards, but it just kind of came out. All that kind of came out. And I remember reading a comment because I said, I'm the best. The best starts now. If you don't know now, you know. But I was just reading some comments before the fight, like who are these guys? Like Dana posted me and Connor facing off, and he's like, who are these guys? And like I was like, if you don't know, you will. If you
Mm.
don't know, you will.
Who you mentioned Rose and you mentioned Brandon Moreno. I'm interested. Who are your biggest influences throughout the fight game, whether it be from a style, from a mindset and mentality standpoint? Who do you look at as people who've influenced the way that you approach the fight game?
Dude, I feel like I'm the amalgamation of so many fighters, man. I've been a fucking nerd about this game since I was a little boy. Like 10 years old, I was a nerd. Like I was in deep. I was in all the forums. I was in, and Jose Aldo is my all-time favorite fighter.
Mm.
I love the way he carried himself. I love his approach to the game. I loved his student of the gameness, his ability to continue to evolve and to continue to evolve at the most simplest things, the basics. How did he make his jab better from 2012 to 2016? It's remarkable. How did he get his slips, his rear pivots, him going to train with the Navy boxing team, like things like that. But those are the aspects that I really admire about him. His willingness to remain a student of the game, and then there's so many on the personal level. I mean, I fought with my teammate Jared Cannonier, and he's so similar. Like I give him all the props, and he kind of like puts them away. He's like, no, no, that's my peer, that's my guy. I'm learning from him. That's super inspiring on that same level. It speaks to his ability and his wants to continue to just be a student of the game. I've learned from everybody, man. I studied everybody. Like it'd be ridiculous to list them out from Muay Thai to boxing to kickboxing. Giorgio Petrosian's one of my favorite guys. To jiu-jitsu. Like I've studied the whole game. Like I study everybody. It'd be too long to list everybody.
How much has Benson influenced you?
Dude, so Ben's the absolute man, man. From watching his title run, it's one of the reasons I wanted to come out to Phoenix, man. I was a Yuma kid, smaller town out here in Arizona. And I would see him and Crouch in the WEC, see them winning world titles, see the way that Crouch cornered Ben, the way that Benson responded to Crouch. Seeing the Frankie Edgar fight. I remember being a kid watching it live, and I remember there was one point where Crouch was like you got 5 more minutes, and Ben goes, I got 15, I got 25. He just starts going nuts. Like I like that energy was so palpable. And then I came out here to start training with the MMA lab at about 18, 19. I made the fight team about 6 months later. And then I sparred Benson and he chops my leg off. Like he absolutely obliterates my lead leg. Like I can't walk for like the next 3 days. But I kept coming forward. I never stopped coming forward. I never stopped trying to get after it. And there's like these rite of passages, especially in those
Mm.
eras, that you got to go through. And I was like, damn, he probably thinks I suck. He's like, I couldn't even defend a leg kick. But then after the fact, like I come to find out, he's like, oh man, like from that moment on, like you became my guy. Like I believe in you. And he told me
Wow.
that like relatively early on, to a point where I was like, hey, who are you talking to? Like I'm not good. Like
Mm.
I'm just starting out. But he saw something in me, and it really allowed me to believe in that. I've been in this game a long time, but like I had zero accolades at that point to like rest on and be like, hey, point to this. Hey, here's the state championship in wrestling. Here's this or this. I never accomplished anything. I tried. I
Mm.
tried for a lot of things and failed at a lot of things. So for him to put that belief for him to say that, for him to verbalize that to me early on, like genuinely changed my life. Genuinely changed the way I started to think about myself and allow myself to believe in me with a higher level.
Wow, that's incredible. There will be a lot of fans who are solely UFC fans who will have watched you fight for the first time on Saturday night. Do you feel like Saturday night performance give them an accurate view of your style and what you plan to bring in this UFC featherweight division?
I came back, I landed on Sunday. On Monday, I came drilled, and then I got to do what my favorite thing in the world, and that's just to have an almost empty gym and just a bag and just to zone in on a bag. And I
Mm.
was just peckering that bag, and I had all this such clarity of mind. I love after fighting, your confidence is just skyrocket. You have such clarity, and all I could think of was just like, damn, this one was good, but just wait for the next one.
Mm.
Just wait for the next one. Like the next one's gonna be oof. Just what? Just you wait. But man, I was on the main card initially, and I was really, really honored by that. I was like, oh, I didn't think I was gonna get that level of attention or that level of responsibility for my first fight with the company. So I felt really honored by that. Jared Gordon's opponent pulled out, and it dropped me down to the prelims. But like those are the type of responsibilities I want. I want the company to trust me to open up a main card, to be on a titled pay-per-view, to be in a good spot, to be pushed for the main event, to be pushed to the highest heights of these sports. So I got to showcase that every time I step out there. I want to show that I'm a CTV. I know what this sport is. I'm a fan of this sport. I love this sport. I live this sport. I'll showcase that every time, man. I promise.
Well, since you're such a student of the game, as you mentioned, I have to get your thoughts on the title fight that has been announced in your division, the vacant 145-pound title between Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes. You're shaking your head. How do you see that one playing out at UFC 314 in Miami?
It's a phenomenal fight. Those guys are studs. But I'm furious that Ilia left the division.
Mm.
I'm furious. And obviously, I have one fight in the UFC. Who the fuck am I to talk about like Ilia and all that at that point at this stage? But I genuinely look at that guy, and to me, he's the guy. He's the guy to beat. Like I want his head. I want his head bad. Like he's terrifying. His skill is phenomenal. To me, he's the most complete fighter I've ever seen. So I want him. It's got to be him. It should be him, in my opinion. And I think it still will be, but it bugs me. It irks me that it's not him for 45. You know, who knows what the future will be out. I know I'm like at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years away from that type of talk. As far as Diego Lopez and Volkanovski, man, both those guys are such studs, such good human beings too, from what it looks like. Big fan of them all. I think Volk has a pretty good skill disparity over Diego, especially on the feet. On the ground, it's a different story, but I think Volk's so aware, so tough. But Diego's just got something, man. He just got something where you look at him and you're like, I could see him making it happen against anybody. There's just something inside of him that I could see him making it happen. He's got the power, but more so than anything, he's got the belief. I don't know about that tattoo. It's not the best, but the belief that he's got in
Mm.
himself is very special.
If the rumors are true and Ilya is to fight Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title, how much of a chance do you give him against the pound for pound champ?
He's got a chance. He's got a real chance.
Mm.
He's as mechanically good of a fighter as I've ever seen. So is Islam Makhachev. That's what makes that fight so exciting. So like I understand his ambition. I respect his ambition on that front. He hits like a truck. He hits
Mm.
like a truck, and he finds that shot, man. His boxing is beautiful. His understanding of MMA distance and striking is beautiful. So is Makhachev. Makhachev has really good kicks. Makhachev's striking is, continuous. I think less so now, but it's, historically been very underrated. It's a pick 'em. Like it's a pick 'em.
Mm.
I really don't know.
We'll turn the conversation back to you for my final question. You've made a great start to the year with the first round stoppage in your UFC debut. What are your rest of your goals 2025? Where would you like to be come the end of the year?
Comes to the end of the year, 3-4-0 in the UFC, ready to start making that run at the top 10, top 5. But doing that with the intention of that's been the goal.
Mm.
I want this year to be like I want this performance to be like the low point, to be honest. And it's
Mm.
pretty high. But I want this to be the low point. I want to evolve. I want to showcase every time that I step out there, I'm like, damn, he got better. Damn, he got better. Damn, he got better. Like I want that to be the case. So that's gonna require a little bit of time in between fights. Not a crazy amount. Like I asked Sean Shelby if he could get me in May. That gives me 6 weeks to play with ideas, to have fun, to be loose, to continue to evolve on the track that I'm already on with my strength and conditioning side, with my striking coaches, with my whole team in general. And then it'll give me 6 weeks to go into another camp, and we can run that, rinse and repeat. Like, give me 3 months, give me 4 months in between fights, and I'll showcase a new and evolved version of myself. I want this too bad not to.
I love it. Well, Jose, congratulations on the victory. Great to see you make your UFC debut. I enjoy the celebrations, and I look forward to seeing you back in action in the not too distant future.
Thank you, Mike.